You're on. I'm gone.
In the brief time that we've been here, I'm honored to have, well, first of all, I'm honored to be here, to be invited to speak in front of you guys. I mean, it's really a trip because until very recently, I didn't know you existed. And we went to see a movie, Blancanieves, together. And from there, we arrived at this place. I'd like to talk to the writers in the audience because I discovered that we have a few in the brief time we spent talking to each other just before we got to this point. This book is this distillation of a series of events that started when I was 15. That was about 60-some years ago. I was working as a delivery boy in a hotel in Chicago. Are there any Chicagoans here? People who know Chicago? In any case, there's a north side of Chicago where they have a Drake Hotel, a very exclusive hotel. I was working as a delivery boy in the Carnegie drugstore, and there was a man working in the kitchen upstairs that they called Cantinflas. Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't know who Cantinflas was. His real name was Jose Mangual or something. But we worked out a thing together. There's a statute of limitations, and I cannot be arrested for this. But I was stealing condoms and selling them to Cantinflas for cupcakes. Bombas de nata. Four onion skin condoms for one bomba. And one day he said to me, hey kid, you want to go see a movie? Okay, if you know Chicago, there's something called the World Playhouse on Michigan Avenue, down the street from the Chicago Institute of Art. I went, I saw the movie. I didn't speak Spanish. I still don't speak Spanish fluently, but I enjoyed the movie, and I told him about it. Oh yeah, you really like Cantinflas? Yeah. Who wouldn't like Cantinflas, right? A few weeks later, he said, I got another ticket here. You want to go see a película about Matador? So yeah. He gives me the ticket, and I was lucky enough to go see the great documentary about Manolete. That was my introduction to bullfighting. I was about 15. I was beginning to try to make some decisions. Should I go to jail? Which was, at that time, and still exists, at that time it was the rite of passage for a lot of young black men to make a decision. Should I go to jail or should I go someplace else? We used to actually greet each other like, hey man, you done your time yet? I went to see Manolete, and in some way I can't explain, I was intrigued. What do you call it? The gusanilla came up in me. The gusano came up in me. I saw ritual, I saw theater, I saw drama, I saw an art form that I was unacquainted with. I mean, how many bulls did we fight on the south side of Chicago? They weren't called bulls there, they were called cops.
Forget about this.
But from that point, I became interested in it, and I'll fast forward up to about many years later, when I started going around to different places, Mexico, Tijuana, Spain, to experienced the bullfight. And I saw many great bullfighters over a period of 60 years. You would see many. In addition to that, at one point in Chicago, I think it was between the years of 66 and 68 or something like that, they were bringing bullfights in. I think it's called KMEX, Channel 38, bullfights from Spain.
KMEX.
You could go see it. I was married to another woman at the time, then wife, and on Wednesday nights, I was going to see the bullfight at my friend's house. My then wife didn't believe it. I can't believe that you're going to see some man kill a bull every Wednesday night. No, I was going to see 3 men kill 2.
ahead, Joey.
Okay, so she went with me, right? And she said that she was totally uninterested in the whole thing. Is this all that's going to happen? I think on that evening, Manuel Capetillo, Carlos the Rooster, I mean, you know, just the top flight people in the bull world were fighting at the time. Needless to say, we got a divorce, but it wasn't because of that. It was not because of that. But I was constantly making notes. I discovered that I was going to write for the rest of my life at about 7 or 8 years old when I started trying to write about what 3 uncles from Mississippi, not Mississippi, Mississippi, 3 uncles from Mississippi were talking about. These were great storytellers. And when people say, what inspired you to write, I would look at them as the inspiration for the writing. If I may, you had your answer?
No, I'm sitting by you. Our producer.
Okay. If I can, I give you some idea of what it was like to listen to 3 uncles sitting in a basement around a cold stove in the wintertime in Chicago. And there was nothing to do but tell stories. One, Uncle John, Uncle Eugene, and Uncle Eddie. Uncle Eddie was the most animated of the storytellers. And frequently he would do things like ask me, hey boy, you know why monkeys up in trees? You know, Zen question. I don't know. Let me tell you. Said to signify monkey to the lion one day, there's somebody going around talking, I'm sorry to say. What he saying about your mama made me mad. The lion looked up at the monkey in surprise. Who are you talking about? It's the elephant. The lion looks, the elephant? I got to see about this. So the lion shot off through the jungle like a shot from a 44. He was going to find the elephant to even the score. He found the elephant where the tall grass grows. He began to circle around me, going to punch him in the nose. The elephant looked around. Hey boy, you better go pick on somebody your size. But the lion wouldn't listen. He made a pass. The elephant grabbed him up his trunk and threw him down in the grass. There's a profane version of this. He grabbed him up his trunk and threw him down in the grass. He stomped on him. He whipped his ass to a fare well. Finally, the lion dragged off more dead than alive. And this is when the monkey up in the tree started some more to signifying jive. Look at you! Look at you! You're supposed to be king of the jungle. The monkey got to laughing, jumped up and down, and his foot missed the limb and he plunged to the ground. The lion was on him with all 4 feet. He was going to grind the monkey to grind the monkey to hamburger meat. But the monkey played the cat card. We know how curious cats are, right? So, oh, please, Mr. Lion, please let me go. I'll tell you something you really ought to know. So the lion lifted up his paw and the monkey scampered the tree and got away. So what I want to tell you is if you fool with me, I'll get my friend the elephant on you again. Now the lion looked up and roared, you just up in them trees is where you better stay. And that's where they are to this very day. Now my uncle, was that kind of storyteller. And he told me that story over and over again, which was an inspiration to write. The person who really made me write was a lady named Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who established the DeSable Museum of African American History in Chicago, the first in the United States. She gave me a ream of notebook papers. They were clearing my cell out, incidentally. I knew a couple of trustees were dusting, and because I was on my way there, I was stealing a little bit. I was doing a little bit of that and this and that. But she said, you don't have to do that. She gave me a ream of paper for summer vacation, and I wrote my first novel that year at 15. It was stolen from me by a girl whose name I will not mention, despite the fact I remember her very well. She thought it was a 400-page note to another girl. I mean, who the hell writes 400-page love notes?
Nobody.
But she stole the novel, and it was the beginning of a writing life. Now, I'm bringing us all the way to this point. I was still making notes about the bullfight. I wanted to get it right. I didn't want to write a novel. After a while, I discovered I didn't want to write a novel about bullfighting. First of all, I'm sure that most people in this audience know more about bullfighting than I'll ever know. I wanted to write a story about a bullfighter, a specific, particular kind of person who decides to pursue his dreams. And that's what this came out to be. Without giving the whole story away, well, let me go on. The novel was finished. I was looking for an agent. I called a friend of mine named Odie Hawkins, who calls himself George. He's Ice-T's manager.
Oh.
He says, hey man, why don't you get in touch with this guy here? He gave me the number, the address of a guy in Wisconsin named Greenberg. Greenberg said, well, I don't do that kind of thing. Let me hook you up with a guy named Manny Barron. Manny Barron was one of the top flight agents in New York. I called him from my little cluttered desk in Long Beach. He's walking down the Avenue of the Americas in New York. This is technology. I said, yeah, I like the idea. He knew nothing about bullfighting, but he was very intellectually astute, and he was very curious about all kinds of things. He took the novel on, the manuscript on. He took it on. He made valuable suggestions. He said, why don't you give us some idea about the ancestral sheep, so to speak, the ancestral background of each bull. Pick some bulls, tell us about it. Skip the grandfather, that doesn't matter. We emailed for about 2 years. For those of us who are trying to write, I'm suggesting to you that it's not quick, it's not easy, it's not fast foods. It takes a while to get it done. After he felt we had a publishable manuscript, he said, okay, I'll get back to you. 2 weeks went by, I didn't hear from Manny. That was unusual because we emailed all the time. After 3 weeks, I was a little panicky. I called his wife. She said, Manny died. Manny died. So, what do I do now? He had given the manuscript over to his partner, and I talked with her, and she said, well, Manny loved the manuscript, and I'll try to take it forward. What I found out, for those of us who acquire agents, they are not gods and goddesses, and they make mistakes. She said, well, if you change the man over to the bull, you switch the roles around, maybe I could push this, but I said, no. It's about a man who's pursuing his dream, and he's going to achieve it by way of fighting bulls. Some people do it with basketballs, some people do it with baseballs, some people do it with soccer balls. He's doing it with a bull. I don't understand that. Changes it. So, I'll tell you what. Let's divorce. So we got a divorce.
Yeah.
Now, what do I do with a publishable manuscript? It's been validated by a proven world-class agent. I decided to go to print-on-demand author house. For those of you who are interested in publishing books, I'm not trying to make a brief for author house or iUniverse or any of these publishing houses. But one of the things they've done is remove the obstacle between the writer and the public by not being forced to go through an agent who is going to make suggestions about things they don't even know about in order to get you to get your work out there. And anyway, I skipped past her, went to author house, and the book was finally published. And what we have now is what this is. I would would like to suggest to you, if you read it, that you keep in mind, I'm not writing about bullfighting. I'm writing about a person who is a bullfighter. Somebody says, oh God, yeah. That's what wires are here for. This cover was designed by an artist named Tony Gleason. Tony and I have a long relationship. I wrote 17 books for a publishing house called Holloway House, and Tony designed many of the covers for those books I wrote, and we parted our relationship, Holloway House and I, and he is continuing to do covers for me. I think you'd say this was a decent cover. He's in Hawaii now. He was going to come here, but he's in Hawaii on the beach. In any case, what I was about to say is that this is not about bullfighting. As I went back through it, I could see several glitches. There's a couple of scenes in there where there's an incorrect procedure done concerning the Descabello sword. I don't have to explain to those who know what the Descabello is about. There's a scene in there that is not correct concerning the procedure of the bandilleros. I think it's 1, 2, and 3, and the second man does according to union rules. I was here on August 7th, and Matador Diego was kind enough to take this book, read it, and give me 4 pages. I would be happy to read all 4 pages of his email, but I won't do that. I can just tell you that he was suffering from operation for detached retinas, and he read the book and gave me some very, very good suggestions for the sequel, which might or might not come about. And aside from that, for those of you who subscribe to La Busca, the Turin magazine, Mr. Hal Markovitz has given me a glowing review, and this is a tough guy. I've read reviews in that magazine that would make people cry. He would say things like, if this is the extent of the best you can do, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
So he gave me, the review was so good, I'm ordering 20 copies of the magazine to pass it around. So, in conclusion concerning this, all I can say for those of us who are interested in the corrida, that you need to be picked sometime to do your best work, and I received 3 picks, all in the same place, right back there. And they made me,
Ouch.
you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we need that, and I'm proud of the book. It has some glitches, but on the whole, if people like Obolja and Hal Markovitz can say, well done, then I'm satisfied. Thank you very much. I'm still in the camera.
Yeah, you're still in the camera. And for those who like to know about the life of the streets, I understand you're in a movie, documentary.
Why don't you come and tell me?
Yes.
This is the inimitable Zola Salena, who is my partner in most of these conspiracies and crimes. And we are committing murder here and there, but we've been undiscovered thus far.
Well, I play the role of the wife, you know, at the middle of the night. Are you sleeping? Of course not. Why would I be sleeping? Okay. You know, and he talks and he talks and he talks till my eyes are closed, and he says, oh, we'll talk about this in the morning. Why did we start talking about it in the morning? Whatever. But Odie is also in Georgina Hosa's documentary, which is the Iceberg Slim, A Portrait of a Pimp. And we went to the Rave Theater, Magic Johnson's Theater, to see if the audience would like it. because we're like, documentary about pimp. That sounds wonderful. As it turned out, the audience did like it, and it was a really good documentary. At the end, Iceberg Slim is very regretful for the life that he led, and his wife is the one who got him writing for Holloway House too. And so he's in that, and he's writing constantly. Right now, he's writing 3 novels. Wow. Reading and writing.
Can I end this by saying one thing about 2 people that I admire very much, and they're here this evening. I have a writing workshop at Bilbrew Library on 100 El Segundo and Aficionados.
In that area.
Pat Forte and Avelina, let's say, Avelina Smith, who are 2 of my students in this workshop, and they're working hard at doing what it is that it takes to create a book. It's not an easy job. I'm not going to equate it to bullfighting. At least you don't run the risk of having a horn in you if you make the wrong paragraph or something like that. But it's difficult work, and I think people who try to write about the things that we take for granted should be given more consideration. I'm forever grateful to Dr. Margaret Burroughs as a teacher and a mentor who said, look, you don't have to do that. Like I said, my cell was being cleaned. They told me, when the cop whispers in your ear, I got you next week. And you resist that and do something constructive, like write a book. I'm on my 50th one. 20 some of them, 30 of them have been published, and the others may or may not get published before I die, but I'm going to keep on working. Once again, thank you very much. Okay.
One more time.
I understand when you saw the films and you became enamored with Dentro del Gusanillo, that you actually went to Mexico? Did you go to Mexico with the idea of maybe becoming a bullfighter?
No, that took place years later, actually. It's like having something imprinted on your head.
Yeah.
And, well, first of all, I couldn't afford to go to Mexico. I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the first chance I got to go to Mexico, I was 19. About 4 or 5 years later. And I went to Mexico City. This was pre-cartel and everything. I went to the Maria Cristina Hotel.
Yeah.
Yes. Right off the Paseo. It's still there. It was a great hotel.
Wonderful. We still
with the little patio
yes.
open.
Huli stayed
Bar
there.
off this side.
Years, yes, Huli stayed there for years.
So I went there. I saw some bullfights. I would call myself an aficionado after the fact. I know you guys are dedicated bullfight fans. For myself, it was like going to see something that was a very intriguing art form. And I couldn't understand why people were against. What were you against? I mean, I'm from Chicago, right? My uncle worked in the stockyards, and they were beating steers in the head every day with sledgehammers.
Sure.
There was a man who had a 16-pound sledgehammer who was, his designated job was killing bulls. Bam! Dead. Next one. And then they mechanize it so your hamburger comes out to you like if you can take, I'm not making a brief for bullfighting, but if you can stand to see 2 men get in a ring and try to beat each other to death, then certainly you can see this ritual, this theater, this event. I have a theory about Mexican bullfighting, that it might be the Aztec religious ceremony turned upside down. Instead of looking up at people making the sacrifice, now you're looking down at people making the sacrifice. It's just a theory. I don't know.
I wouldn't go there.
But to it than just simply someone saying, oh, he went in there and he stabbed the bull. If you go back to Creighton and the history of man dealing with a masculine symbol, a friend of mine from El Salvador was talking about it one day. So, there's a reason why you have a hairless, slender guy, up until recently, slender guy, who's in the ring, sort of taunting this masculine symbol with these large cojones. What is that about? I don't know. But, just give you things to think about. Next question.
Have you ever fought any kind of animal?
Huh?
Have you ever been to the ring with any kind?
I fought other animals when I was younger in a boxing ring. And one of
What kind of animal?
he was a real wild animal.
But you never fought bovino?
Never. Oh God, no. You know what I looked at when I got one of the close-ups as you see bullfighting? I'm thinking, ooh, there's more courage than I could ever even imagine. No.
Because that's what happens when that gusano gets into you. When that little gusano gets into the word, you just don't want to look at it.
As a physio, it never leaves. That's what it means.
It's sort of like you want to be a boxer, you want to be a singer, and it gets into you, you can't get it out. That's what you're going to be. He's a writer, and now
That's what I'm saying.
that's what he rematando la vida. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No,
I just
I
thought I'd ask the question because it seems like you know enough. And then when you were 19, you were over there. And hell, when you're 19, you jump in the ring.
Well,
with
I've had
anyone.
my whole lifetime to study. I've spent 30 years studying capoeira. ¿Entiende usted capoeira? Capoeira, arte marcial de Brasil. Okay, if you study capoeira long enough, especially capoeira Angola, you begin to understand bullfighting a little bit better. It's you against yourself. The other person, the bull can't get to you unless you get to yourself first. If you feel defeat about what it is you intend to do, you certainly are going to be defeated. You're an actress. How many actresses have been defeated by themselves? I don't know if I can.
Thousands.
Yeah. So if you equate things with things, if you interlock different parts of your life with what it is you intend to do, to me, the success of you coming out of it is that you believe you can do it. I believe I'm the first person in my family who graduated from high school. I come from a very smart bunch of Mississippi peasants. Very smart, very shrewd. My uncle used to hand me the newspaper upside down. Hey, boy, read this for me. I don't have my glasses. Right? I was, I'm about 10 years old before I read. This man can't read. But he understood things.
Was your boxing experience in Cook County in Chicago? When you said you had some experience in boxing?
Okay, I would.
Just because you probably remember Johnny Braxton.
If we were two boxers, if you were the Raging Bull, and I was Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay.
Okay, you familiar with that boxing, those particular people? Jake LaMotta fought Sugar Ray Robinson so often he said, I'm beginning to get diabetes. The Negro movie was about what it was about, but in real life, if you saw those fights, Sugar Ray Robinson was the matador. He said, no matter, Belamonte was the man who said, I don't train very hard because no matter how hard I train, I still can't be as strong as a 2,000-pound bull.
That's Belmonte.
Okay, Sugar Ray Robinson said, no matter what I do, I'm still not going to be as much a bull as Jake LaMotta. So let me back up, punch him, back up, punch him, back up, punch him. And that's what he did.
Your boxing experience is like, how that young man in the ring.
Well, I just said it. If
No, Odie.
Yes, ma'am. I'm anxious to stop talking because we should leave.
Oh, wait, one more question.
Okay.
You were in the boxing ring. You didn't think he was a boxer. But there was one man that got in the ring with you and persuaded you.
Okay, I was a teenager. I was good. I'm a natural middleweight. I went down to the gym. The guy said, okay, hey kid, you got it going on. I've been doing it all. I was 6 months into it. Say, oh, we're gonna get some bouts for you. We're gonna get a bout for you. Meanwhile, there's old George, old black man pushing a broom around the gym, cleaning up. We'll give you a chance to get in the ring with old George next week. Old George, I'm gonna kill him. Why would you put me in the ring with old George? Old George, pushing the broom. Finally, it's okay, 3 rounds, 2 minutes for each round. They put him in the ring with old George. He put his broom down. You know, he didn't even put on his trunks. He just had his jeans and his t-shirt on. And we got into the ring. And old George began to do some things. I thought the man was a snake. You know, I couldn't. I would jab, I would punch at him, and he would. The only thing to say is that he was so old, he maybe 7 years old.
Oh, goodness.
His punches were like powder puff. But he peppered me all over. I couldn't touch him. We go to the second round. The trainer said, kick his ass. I can't find it. I cannot find it. What is he doing? He's just bobbing and weaving. And I thought, at that point, I retired. So I thought at 16, 17, if I cannot hit old George, what am I going to do with somebody who can hit me?
Kind of like Ali and float like a butterfly.
My senses were operating at fever pitch. Don't get hit, don't get hurt. When we just saw the Mayweather fight against, he avoided getting hit all the way through it. He was enough, I want to win this. And when he talked about it, he's worth $400 million now, right? He's unmarked. His brain is intact.
That's right.
You know, I'm proud to say I beat Mayweather to understand that my brain is intact. If I had done what some people, no, don't pay old George any attention. That was just sort of some kind of, you know, no, that was real.
Yeah.
Old George peppered me, he was tattooing my whole body. I didn't have the defense, and I realized, stay out of the ring. You know, so, write about it. Okay, you have one more question?
Okay, I'm dying to know why Diego told you there was something wrong with the verdolino. Verdolino is the escalate.
You have to trust that. I believe you have to trust that.
Now, what did he say was wrong with the scripture?
He said there's something wrong about it.
About fighting George?
Descabello. Or both of them. The Descabello.
Remember you said that...
Read it, then you'll see what I mean.
I told you that.
It's a procedural point, and it's not a big thing, but there is a point in time when the Descabello is called for and when it's used too soon.
Well, it's used after you put in a sword. The sword is halfway.
So I'm wrong on that point, and you'll have to read it.
Okay. So what I
I think
do
what we want to know is, what did Diego Vulture write in that?
Oh, okay.
Well, just kind of said that it was a wrong procedural point.
I gave him a copy of the book on August 7th when he spoke here, and he sent me a 4-page email. Jimee said she didn't know this man had cataract operation on his eyes, and I gave him the book, and he actually read the book and made some very valuable suggestions about different things. Well, I don't want to read the
Okay.
I don't want to read the whole email,
Oh,
but
my goodness.
when a professional,
It starts off with wow, wow, wow.
Well, good. That's a good start.
That was a good start.
anyway, you're telling me I just finished reading your books, and for years, I mean, for a while, he had cataract operations, and his eyesight was not good at the time he came to visit. You said you didn't know anything.
No, we didn't know.
You know, he was not complaining about it, but he gave me some suggestions concerning what things should be called. I was calling, I don't know if this is my mistake or the printing company's mistake, I called a citizen of Mexico a chilango for the female.
True.
It should be chilanga.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a
For the
female,
male, it's chilango.
it would
You
be
got one right here.
feminine,
Right here.
masculine.
And now,
Okay.
now they don't call them chilangos.
Okay,
They call
the
them
printer made a mistake. Dia de la Muerto, Dia de la Muerto. I'm sorry, I put Dia de la Muerta.
Yeah, but
It should be
those
told.
are things that
Those are
expected.
small
Okay, but
differences.
Those are really,
these mistakes happen in the
those are
printing.
really messy.
But you have to accept the blame for that, because people will say you don't know what you're talking about. And
It's just a little while.
Well, may I say a little something? I bought a copy of the book and started reading it, and after one chapter, I said, this is a book that I want my own copy, and I returned the book because I want to buy my own copy, because I could tell right away this is a book I wanted to keep. Because this is a book, it's like he said, it's not about bullfighting, it's about the human condition and people, and una vida muy gitana, and it's I think well worth reading. Yeah, it's about the guy that wants to be a torero and all that, but it's so much more. So I really highly suggest getting a copy.
That's a lot.
thank you.
When is the movie come out?
Yeah. I wanna see the movie.
We talked about it briefly just at the beginning.
Briefly, but you want to expand on it.
Okay, if you had we went to see a film called Son of George. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a movie that just came out. It's playing at the Royal Theater in Santa Monica now. It's about a Nigerian African American family in New York, Brooklyn. A couple gets married. After 18 months, the woman hasn't given the grandparents a child.
Okay.
Whatever culture you come out of, there seems to be a real vested interest in having grandkids. Hate the kids, love the grandkids. We get rid of you and let's. But the movie is about that, and the fact that they pick on Nigerians is almost coincidental, because it could be almost any Serbian, it could be Croatian, it could be Australian, whatever it is. But what we do is try to pick on universal conditions that affect us all and put them into forms that other people can relate to. I really appreciate what you're saying, because it's about using a frame of reference to put the situation and circumstances in it that you want people to understand. I'm not writing about bullfighting. It's too big a subject for me. I don't know everything there is to know about it, just a bullfighting. The last question, yes.
I will let out the secret that there is a gentleman who is in the entertainment business who wants an option on the Matador and wants him to do a movie script. Wow. He's contacted him. We've had 2 meetings. You know what he said? Where's the beef? And I guess if the beef comes, then
Okay, who do you want to play the title character?
Yeah, well,
Who do you want to play the title
Do you have
character?
anybody in mind?
Denzel?
I was thinking.
Denzel Washington?
The Wolf Matador.
Yeah, you need to. Oh,
Okay.
Who do you suggest?
well,
Wow.
It's Matador Black.
yeah, I guess you could. I took the title from so many black athletes who they call Sugar. Sugar Shane, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar
Ray Leonard.
Sugar
Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard. And aside from that, black people call each other chili a lot.
Odie, do you have any young actors you have in mind that could play the Matador?
Nobody currently around. You wouldn't want to see Denzel Washington play a 19-year-old Matador to me.
Or Tom.
No, yes, ma'am, yes.
I would like to say, this is the best instructor.
Oh my God. I believe this man. Wait till tomorrow night. If he's still playing,
He's really, really a good
please,
instructor.
is there another drink?
And also, before I leave this earth, I want to go to Spain and run with the bulls.
Like that girl.
That's what I am going to do it. So if you guys ever decide to go, call me up. We can go together. I'm serious. I'm going to run with the bulls.
Yeah.
Good girl.
Yeah.
And she can write about it.
No, I want to run with the bulls.
Wow.
This is something I want to do.
Once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I'm going to do it.